Welcome, everyone. I'm Roger Beaudoin from Restaurant Rockstars, and this, of course, is the restaurant show on cracking the labor crunch. And with me today is the Senior VP of Marketing and Sales for a tech company called Cut and Dry. Welcome to the show today, Warner. How are you?
Thank you very much, Roger. Happy to be here.
Glad you're here. So, the pandemic has turned restaurants and the industry absolutely upside down. And if restaurants are still standing, it's not over yet. Everyone is struggling with this labor crisis, the labor crunch. And unfortunately, now that business is booming and demand for restaurants is at an all-time high, there are so many restaurants out there being forced to close certain days and hours of the week simply because they can't meet the demand, simply because they are short-staffed. I know you're seeing it. You've got clients and customers out there. I mean, what's been your experience and what can you offer? Best advice, best practices, anything you're seeing, hearing, or practicing yourself that'll help operators through the crisis?
Sure. We're seeing a lot of restaurants running reduced times where they used to have, lunch available. Now they're only opening at 4 and later. So it's certainly a shame. I know that, there have been certain restaurants I've tried to dine at and their hours are not what they were a year and a half ago.
Absolutely.
We've been seeing a lot of restaurants embrace technology. I've been selling technology, to restaurants and creating technology for restaurants for, over a decade now. And it's great to see that. I'll say that this has kind of forced, a decade of digital transformation over the past year and a half. So I just think in embracing different types of technology in general is a way that restaurants should be trying to kind of future-proof their business, whether that is working with online ordering companies and making sure that you have a very streamlined pickup and delivery process. I know there's, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because a lot of those delivery platforms do take a hefty fee, but there are some solutions out there that are more cost-effective than others. I've also seen some interesting business models appear in my town. I live in Westfield, New Jersey, outside of the New York metro area. And there is, I'll say, a new type of restaurant that I initially was a little bit wary of. It's a truck called the Wonder Truck. So I just want to kind of make sure restaurants are figuring out how they can, look at different business models. But the way this Wonder Truck works, it's kind of like a restaurant on wheels, almost like an Uber-like experience. And you can have a truck come and park in front of your house and actually prepare a fresh meal and walk it up to your doorstep. So I've never seen anything like it, but I see these trucks parked in front of homes all over my neighborhood. And they're actually, almost, I don't know the exact business model. I'm kind of giving a plug for this company. And I think they're only in northern New Jersey right now. But they're actually kind of licensing recipes and well-known dishes from restaurants all over the United States. So you can get a sandwich, from Atlanta, made in front of your house and delivered to your door. So it's pretty interesting that there are new models that, I hadn't even thought of or seen before that are emerging as kind of alternate ways to get food to consumers.
That's very interesting. It's almost like a hybrid model because so many restaurants do have their own food trucks that they take the show on the road to specific events and parades and, sporting events and local community events and that sort of thing. But, some restaurants could be forced to kind of close the doors to their existing bricks and mortar locations simply because it requires too much staffing and take a show on the road and pare down a menu, use a food truck or a trailer and figure out, be really creative and resourceful. Okay, where is there lots of business all the time that I can take this truck to? It is definitely an emerging trend. I appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
Of course. Yeah, it's kind of like a ghost kitchen on wheels. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and that's another model that I think a lot of restaurants are looking at, not having to deal with obviously the high cost of rent and still figuring out a way to make food and again, get it to consumers, whether that's in their home or at their office.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, unfortunately, this pandemic has seen, landlords really losing out on rents for so long. And now we're seeing that landlords are actually increasing rents now that business is back and booming in the restaurant business, which is unfortunate because the margins in this business are already so slim that, it's a double-edged sword. Restaurants are being forced to pay higher wages now to attract new staff, bonuses, incentives, all sorts of things that, are not sustainable unless you can increase sales, increase profits in a restaurant on top of rising food costs, on top of rising rent costs. I mean, the business is just squeezing the owner operator more and more every day. So these are definitely interesting ideas. Let's talk a little bit about Cut and Dry, because I know that not only is it a platform that makes the ordering process more efficient, but I really love the cash back feature, the cash flow, the ability to use credit cards. Tell us all about the platform and how you see this fitting the labor crunch we're talking about,
Of
and all the
course.
features.
Yeah, so we are, I would say we're very well positioned for a labor crunch. We provide a solution to not having as much staff or trying to do more with your existing staff. I think it's kind of important to just look at how the vast majority of restaurants are ordering, paying bills, accessing trade rebates, if that at all really happens. So we'll kind of start with the old school analog ordering and receiving process. Most restaurants, when I ran a restaurant 20 years ago, it was the same way. But chefs and kitchen staff are walking around with a paper clipboard with an order guide they've printed out. They obviously don't have really their order history available to them, what their par levels are. They might have to manually write those in, what their last order quantity was. But they're going around, they're doing individual kind of inventory to restock. And then once they have their orders prepped, they then need to use a single use application or log into a wholesale e-commerce ordering platform that typically only works for one or two of the large suppliers. Then they have to draft an email and send an order into their sales rep, or pick up the phone or send a text message. We still see a lot of suppliers accepting faxes. So that entire process, a lot of restaurants don't really understand how time consuming that is and how painful it is for the kitchen staff that's doing that multiple times per week. And then once that order actually is delivered, you're back to kind of messy clipboards of stacks of invoices, handwritten notes, and then all that needs to get physically handed over to your accounting team. So it's just not it's kind of a necessary evil. You obviously have to make sure your kitchen is stocked, but we created a solution that makes that process, or we take the pain out of that process, a much easier, streamlined process.
So what you described was completely inefficient, and it takes, whether it's a chef or a kitchen manager or even a line cook that's doing this. I mean, we're talking, depending on the size of the restaurant, it could take a significant amount of time to go through this process. But still, you're not comparing suppliers, that sort of thing. You're not ordering from multiple suppliers generally, or if you are, it's even taking a longer amount of time. Am I right?
Right. We're not right now. We're not really kind of focused on comparing prices. We're not trying to create the kayak for food. So we're not really out there trying to find the best price for a product. Obviously, you can do that right now by comparing invoices. So we only allow you to add the distributors. But to step back, the value, kind of core value of our platform is one single app that kind of replaces all those different order entry methods. So as long as you're a current customer of a distributor, you can add your distributor, whether that's a large national broadliner, a regional meat, seafood, produce, or specialty supplier. If it's someone that is selling fresh truffles, from a truck, just a couple of guys, doesn't really matter. You can put that into the application. So what you end up with is digital order guides with par levels, your last order date and quantity. And it's all in the palm of your hand. So you can start an order on your phone, in the walk-in or in the freezer, just walking around your dry storage. You can pick that order up on an iPad later in the day. You could submit the order on a desktop. We are kind of platform agnostic. And then it's as simple as just pushing a button, and then it pushes those orders to all of your distributors. It saves incredible amount of time. As you just mentioned before, inefficient. We have some multi-unit restaurants that are using our platform, and after they did an analysis, they realized that they were essentially paying a full-time employee just to do ordering. When they added up all the hours that they were doing across their multiple stores, it was a full-time role, and we're able to cut that time at least by 50%. We have some restaurants claiming that we're reducing time by 70%. So you can actually now give that time back into, either prep or, other kind of higher value items that need to be done in your back of house.
I didn't mean to confuse our audience in terms of comparing suppliers. I guess what I meant to say is you can add multiple suppliers to your platform and have that template there. And whether you work with one broadliner or you work with two or three or smaller suppliers and a broadliner, you can literally go and order as you normally would more efficiently with the tablet itself or with the phone.
You
All
got it.
all virtues. Okay, all via that app. Now, that is incredible in terms of how much time that would save. Let's talk about the return process and the check-in process, because this app also allows you to quickly check things in when the delivery is actually on your doorstep. Is that right?
That's right. And this is a great feature for owners and managers, as well as the people checking in the order. As we know that, a lot of times management or owners are not on site at 4 or 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning when the deliveries are being received. So once the order is delivered, you can pull out that app, you access your order history, and you can check in individual items with that order to make sure that the order that you placed has been received accurately. If you've been shorted an item, or if there was an incorrect item, damaged item, you just mark as no, did not receive in full. And then you can select the reason that you would be requesting a credit. And then just, again, with the click of a button, it sends a credit request to the distributor on behalf of that restaurant. And again, the value, a manager and owner could be sitting at home, sipping their morning coffee. They could pull out the app and they could look at the orders that were received that morning to make sure that all the items are in stock.
That's fantastic. Now, one of the things that really strikes me, Warner, is with this labor crisis. I think I mentioned earlier that restaurants are now being forced to pay higher wages, and their margins are slipping. And cash flow is king, as it always was.
Yes.
But somehow restaurants need to figure out a way to pay these higher wages. So let's talk about the rebates, because so many restaurants, in my experience, have left all those rebates on the table, unaware of them, didn't have time to apply for them, and this platform does things automatically. Is that correct?
It does. And before we go into the cash earning side of things, let's talk about kind of increasing cash runway. So
Yeah,
cash is
tell me
king.
about that. Hmm.
So we'll talk about kind of the pay feature, and then we'll go into the cash earning feature. So
Great.
not only is this a universal ordering platform, but it's also a universal payments platform. So we are partnered with certain distributors that actually send their invoices digitally through our platform, make them payable. So we are a full service kind of payment facilitator. But it also gives a restaurant the ability to snap a photo of an invoice, which in itself is valuable because you're creating a digital record, and then you have that kind of saved in the platform. You can just hand that invoice over to accounting to be paid. When the invoice is ready to be paid, we allow a restaurant to pay any invoice via credit card or ACH. But the value is with credit card. A lot of
Absolutely.
distributors are 7, 14, 30-day terms. So this is kind of a way for you to extend your terms by 30 days just by putting it on a credit card. You've got credit card reward point earning ability there. And as long as you have that credit card bill paid within 30 days, you kind of created, float for your business. And then we actually take that digital payment and turn it into a physical check, and we will mail that check off on behalf of the restaurant to their distributor that they're paying, and we'll include an actual printout of that original invoice behind the payment, so there's no confusion. So great way to, you can do batch payments as well. So, you can upload multiple invoices, select 4 or 5 at the same time, put them all on a credit card. Very, very easy. So not only is it going to save time for accounting, but you also have that digital record, and you also have the ability to pay anyone via credit card. So, we're very excited about that. And restaurants are definitely starting to take advantage of that more and more over these past few months.
That's a great feature unto itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we'll kind of go into how, I guess one thing I haven't mentioned is everything that I've been talking about in terms of functionality in our platform for the restaurant is entirely free. So Cut and Dry is a free application. We've created a business model that allows us to offer this to restaurants, in perpetuity for free. But we've gone a step further. I kind of refer to this as the cherry on top of our platform. So we have a very won't get into kind of the nerd side of it, but we have a very powerful data structuring engine that creates more or less a standard language for products throughout the entire food service industry, and we're kind of indexing and creating a language that can be applied across all of our customer order guides, and we can very easily match products to, directly to manufacturer products, whether they're the identical product or a similar product. And we have a number of different ways that restaurants can earn cash on our platform. We call this cut and dry cash. It's not like monopoly money. This is real cash.
It's real money. Yeah.
Real money, right?
You got my attention.
Yep. So the value is that you can once you have all these order guides set up, we can find products that are eligible for what we refer as order and earn. Order and earn just means you need to order the products and you're earning cash back. It's the equivalent of trade rebates, which unfortunately there's literally billions of dollars of trade rebates that are entered into the market, but very few end up in the independent operators' pockets. The process to get a trade rebate is typically downloading a form, filling out information, sending in proof of purchase. 4, 5, 8 weeks later, whatever it is, you might get a check back in the mail, and not many people are really going through that process. As we know, time is money, and that does take up a lot of time, and it's just a very kind of convoluted process. So we've partnered with a number of manufacturers, and these are very, very large. Just call them the largest food service manufacturers in the world. And we are offering direct cash from manufacturers directly to independent operators. We also insert switch and earn opportunities. So when we match a comparable product, we'll offer an incentive for someone to switch to that product. And something that is actually hot off the press this week, we just launched a sample and earn opportunity. So not only before you make the switch, you can actually sample a product. The cost of that product is then given back to you in cut and dry cash, as long as you fill out a sampling survey. And that sampling information goes directly back to the manufacturer. And now the manufacturer has real feedback from the buyer on what their sampling of that product was like. Did they like it? Do they plan on using it? So really excited about that.
Well, that's terrific.
We also just have a referral program. So as restaurants invite other restaurants to our platform, they're going to earn $50 in cut and dry cash. This cash can be withdrawn, so you can use that for employee bonuses, or take the team out for an offsite. Get them out of the restaurant and do some sort of team building activity. I think that's one thing that I worked in restaurants. People are always kind of having their late night drinks, but get them out of the restaurant. Take them to a baseball game, football game, or whatever it may be, and just have that extra cash kind of in your pocket to do some team building activities. But we're really excited about that. Besides withdrawing and actually using it for things like that, you could also actually apply that to cover. There is a service charge for paying credit cards. There's credit card processing fees obviously involved in it. So if a restaurant does choose to pay any invoice via credit card, there's a 3% service charge that we apply to that. But if you have any amount in your cut and dry cash kind of digital wallet, you can apply those funds very similar to Amazon rewards points or credit card rewards points, where you can just deduct those from your balance. So all of a sudden, you have a $1,000 invoice, $30 service charge. If you've got $50 sitting in your cut and dry cash wallet, you can just deduct from there to cover the credit card. So now you have a 0% credit card payment and 30 days afloat.
Well, that's fantastic. So we talked about saving labor, increasing efficiency, speeding up the process of ordering, using all your existing suppliers, adding suppliers, easy check-in on this app. And then we talked about improving cash flow, cut and dry cash, which provides you cash back. We talked about referrals that give you cash back. Wow, there's so many benefits here that are so relevant to this labor crunch. Warner, that's fantastic. What's your website URL so the audience can find you?
Cut and dry, spelled out, CUTANDDRY.com. Restaurants can literally create an account in seconds. All they have to do is add their distributors that they're ordering from, and we will create an order guide for you within 1 to 24 hours, depending on whether you're just uploading an invoice that needs to be turned into an order guide, or whether we have an integration with a distributor. But really excited to hopefully get some more restaurants using this labor and time-saving platform.
Well, I did hear the word free. There's no cost or charge to the restaurant to use this app. So why wouldn't you go check this out? It sounds fantastic. And again, you're solving multiple problems here in the labor crisis. Thanks so much to Performance Food Service for sponsoring the show. And thank you, Warner Siebert from Cut and Dry, for being a great guest today.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you again next time. Thank you. We'll see you in the next show.